Once again, welcome guys. Good evening. Trust we are all good. So, yesterday we designed a page, a food landing page, the web view of it, and we did some interaction, um, which is the core prototype. So we did some interactions. We using the style guide that we created in our previous class last week. So, and I said when if you've already created a style guide and now you are designing and you find out that some fonts that you created are either too small or too big, you will need to include that font or take out the font. So we added extra two fonts, the biggest heading and big heading, which is font size of 40 and 32. Both of them are semi-bold, and because we've already designed, or because we already had in mind that we are designing a mobile application, we actually don't need size 40 and font size of 32, because we expect that our user are just going to download the application from their app store and then start using it. They don't need a larger screen. But now we actually need a landing page, like a website that just have few information about this product before telling them to go and download it on the app store. So let's say someone come across this website www.mavifood.com, when he or she, or when a user is actually doing something with on his or her laptop, and the person can actually view on that bigger screen. And once the person sees it, then the person will have to just bring out their phone, go to the app store, and then download the phone. So that was the essence of we creating a landing page, of which we did yesterday, and we carried out some interaction, which is the prototyping. We did some prototyping, and we did some nice interaction, and we tested out, and it was awesome. It was cool. And what we found out that some things are not having nice experience, we made some adjustments. So today we'll be designing the mobile view of this landing page. We are going to design it. This is how it's going to look like on a larger screen. So how is it going to look like on a smaller screen, which is the phone sizes? We are designing for web and mobile. So this is how it's actually going to look for the tablet, but this is a size of a larger screen. Let's say from your laptop upward, your laptop, your television, your computer, different sizes of screen. This is how it's going to look like. But when you open with your tablet, this is how it's going to look like. But it's going to look it's just the same display, but the frame that we are supposed to use is just going to be small. It's just the same display. Like the display is going to be the same thing, but the frame is just going to look, let's say this is 1440. So this is how it's actually going to be. Some tablets are big, some tablets are small, but this let me show you the size of a tablet. They are just the same display. That is why I said there's no need for redesign. Now you can see that you have Surface Pro 8, you have Mini, it's just going to have the same display. But for phone, it's not going to have the same display, because phone frame is actually very, very small, unlike your laptop. So if you're on this, like if you're joining with your laptop, and if you join with your laptop, you can preview and see how you look like. But if you open this design on a phone, it's actually going to look, everything inside is actually going to look very, very small, which is going to be very difficult for a user to read. And a phone doesn't have header display like this, and a button on a phone doesn't hover. It's click or tap. You don't hover. It's only in a larger screen that you can hover any text, something like this. So I'm just going to done this like this. So let's see. Now it is only on a web that you can do this hover of a thing, but on a mobile, there's no business between doing hover, because all what you just have to do there is just tap or click. But on a larger screen like this, your cursor is the one moving around. So by the time your cursor goes to that place, it hovers like this. But for the phone, there's no business concerning hover. It's just tap or click. Okay, so that's the difference. So, and that's why I do tell people, okay, since the tablet and the desktop has the same display but different sizes, so there's no need designing. Or you can if you want to just have the three display of devices, you can design it just using the right frame and then reducing the font size and image size to fit the tablet frame. But for the mobile, it is actually total difference because there's no hover. The image here is going to look small. The text, imagine where you're using font size of 40 for the header. You cannot use 40 for mobile. It's actually going to be too big, like too big. It's going to be triple of the actual size that you're supposed to use. Then imagine I just carry this image and just put there. It's actually going to cover. Imagine now, let's say you have the image at the right hand side and you have this this image at the left hand side and you have this right up at the right hand side. So by the time you carry this thing and just put, it's actually going to cover, and let's say it's just going to be tiny. The image can just cover the whole space and then the text is nowhere to be found. And if you're trying to put the text is just going to be there, but the image is nowhere to be found. So the display are totally different, but you have the same write-up, but it's just that the only difference is the frame size and the display of the design. But for tablet and desktop, they are just the same thing. The difference is just the frame size. So every other thing is the same. You hover, you do this, you do that, it works. But for mobile, you don't hover. You only click or tap. So today we'll be designing the mobile view of this landing page. Okay, so that is what we are going to design. So we've already gotten our larger screen, our web, you can call it web. So what would you call it? You don't call it a laptop view, you don't call it television view. What you just call it is a web view, tablet view, and mobile view. So there's nothing like phone view. Okay, so what designers call it, and someone will say, okay, now let's say for example, I said, oh class, I want you guys to, okay, just like what I said, the assignment I gave yesterday, although I'm going to drop the instruction on Google Classroom and how to submit it. So what the assignment I gave to you was design any landing page of your choice, the web and the mobile view. Now you can see that the instruction is clear. So all you have to do now, I'm going to add tablet view too. So all you have to do is just go to any existing website, you like this, or if you don't want to design an existing website, you can go to Chrome. You can go to Chrome. Yes, you can just search for landing page you want. You can go to Behance. You can go to Dribble. You can get inspiration from Figma community to create your own. Then all you have to do is just open your Figma, drop the image or the link or whatever how you want it to be displayed. You open, you select your view, your web view frame. You select your tablet view and you select your mobile view, and then you design and then make the three of them to actually fit for the same for the three device, the three frame sizes. So you can call it the web view, tablet view, and then the mobile view. There is nothing like, you can call it desktop view, which is actually nice. A desktop view is okay, but I think the best name to call it is a web view. Desktop view, yeah, is okay, but not everybody will actually understand. Some persons might say, oh, is it only meant for desktop? What about laptop view? What about television view? So the best to call it is a web view, tablet view, and then the mobile view. Okay, so there's nothing like phone view or laptop view. No, that's how it's been called. So, like I said earlier, tablet and desktop has the same display, but the only difference is the size. But for mobile, it is totally different from what you are seeing. We are going to use everything. Like we're going to use the image, the logo, but the spacing, the display, the font size is just going to, the image size, icon size is just going to be totally different. Now I'll be dropping a phone frame close to this desktop frame so you can see the difference between this big screen and then the small screen. Now let's get started. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. People that has ability to talk, please let me unmute and tell me that you can hear me.
I can hear you, ma.
All right. Okay, let's continue. So the phones, the mobile frame that or phone frame that I asked you guys to use at your level for now is iPhone 13 mini. iPhone 13 mini is actually good. But for now, I just want you guys to use iPhone 13 mini for now. But as time goes on, you can use iPhone 14 Plus, iPhone 13 14, iPhone 15 16 Pro, sorry, 14 15 Pro, iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max. But for now, I just want you guys to use iPhone 13 mini. Now, this is how the frame is. Although, remember, they are different phone frame sizes. So if you check, this is 375 times 812. So the width, and this is the width here, and this other one is the height. So this is the width here, and this is the height. So I'll be using iPhone 13 mini. So you can use any phone frame of your choice from year to year. But for now, just use iPhone 13 mini. Because I think why I will want you guys to use iPhone 13 mini is when you want to place your design, your mobile view on mockups, it is easier for you to get iPhone 13. This other phone has this dynamic display, but this other one doesn't have, just have the regular standard distance. So it is easier for you to get a mock-up that fits your phone frame than this ones. Although I don't know, but I haven't seen mock-ups for the larger screen. But I have seen a lot of mock-ups on the Figma community for iPhone 13 normal display. So today we'll be using iPhone 13 mini to create the mobile view of this landing page. Now you can see that this is actually small. This is 375, the width, and for the web, this is 1440, which is actually three times or 4 times larger than the phone display. Okay, the web mobile display or phone frame, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I've dropped my phone frame, so I'm just going to stretch it out. So I'm just going to stretch it out very, very well like this, because it's going to be longer than this. So this is how it's going to look like. So the first thing I'm going to do, so since I have already created a layout grid for the phone, the phone frame or mobile view, I'm just going to use it. So first, I'm going to rename my frame to mobile view, LP landing page. So I'm just going to use the layout grid I've already saved. So I have the phone this like this. This is how it's going to look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my status bar. So I already have a status bar. So I'm just going to go back to pick the status bar. Where is it? Okay, let's see. I'm just going to pick the status bar and come back here and paste it. So I'm just going to paste it this way, and I'm going to preview to see how it look like. So I did not set a phone mockup. That's why it display like this. So I'll just click out and then set. So I'm just going to click out and set a device. So I'm using iPhone 13 mini. So that is what I'm going to use. So this is how it's going to be. So I think the display is perfect. So now the next thing I want to design, I'm going to take this. Now the next thing is I want to design this header. So that is what I want to design. So I'm just going to get my logo. So I don't want to touch that one. Okay, I didn't duplicate the logo. So I'm just going to get my logo. So I'll just get my logo. So since my logo is already a font that I'm using, so I'm just going to display to see if the logo size is okay. Okay, I think this is perfect for me. So I'm going to, so once I'm done with this, so now I'm just going to convert all this from the home down to the bottom. I'm just going to convert all of them inside an hamburger menu, because there is no way I'm just going to display all these things here. It's not possible. And even if you want to try it, it won't even enter. And even if you say, okay, let reduce the font so that it will enter, it's not going to be possible. It's not even a good UI design principle. Neither is it a good UX design principle. So for better experience, I'm just going to move all this into an hamburger menu. So when a user clicks, it's either it cover the whole screen or it comes out half. So I'm going to get an hamburger menu and then display it here. So an icon called hamburger menu. So I'm going to show you what an hamburger menu is. It's not the normal burrito. So this is what an hamburger menu actually looks like. This is what it looks like. So I'm going to place it here. I'm going to make it auto layout. And I'm going to increase the size of it. So I'm going to scale the icon because I don't want it to scatter from the width and then height. I'm just going to come here to set 36. So I'm just going to move it here. So I'm going to return it back to move so that I can walk. I'm just going to move it back to move, and I'm going to hold these two and then align it. Then I'm going to move this here, and I'm thinking of adding it a fake color, maybe a little of my gray. So this is where I have to get my lighter shade of gray. So remember we added one other color that we did not include in our style guide. So I'm just going to get that color. So this is the color FD, FD, FD. So I'm just going to add it here, FD, FD. So I'm just going to change this to brown. And I'm going to give this padding. So the padding here is 4.5. So I'm going to zoom in so I'll show you. So the padding here is 4.5. So the padding here is 4.5 and here is 9. So I'm just going to make it equal 9. And I'm going to place this at the center. So wow. So I'm going to hold these two together and make sure that they are having the same spacing. So this is actually one. So I'm just going to move it this way, and this is it, and this is it. So I'm just going to make both of them also layout, and I'm going to turn on the layout, return it on, so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pick my same setting for this drop shadow here. So I'll be using the same settings for this drop shadow. So I'll come here. So what I use here is X is 0, blur is 15, Y is 6, and this is the color code I use, and it's 25% opacity. So I'll just come here, I will add this auto layout, and then I'll drag it this way, and I'll drag this way. Now take this to the top till it gets to that position. Then I'll come here and then move everything at the center. So I'm just going to come here to do horizontal padding to be 25. So it will just be on the same line. And then I will scroll down and add my drop shadow. So this is how it's going to be if there is no fill color. So what I'm just going to do, instead of turning this off or removing it, just come here and add a fill color. So once you add a fill color, automatically the drop shadow goes down. Then you come here and then you input the same settings. So here is this and here is 16, right? So I'm going to go back to check. I think I've missed one number. So here I have, okay, 6 and 15. So I'm going to come back here and put the same setting. So here I have 6 and here I have 15. So the opacity is the same thing. So this is how it's going to look like. And then let's preview and see what we've done so far. Okay, now this is how it's actually going to look like on mobile. So this is what we did. We've created the header for the mobile. This is how it's going to look like. So the next thing I'm going to design is going to be the thing. But now I want this to actually scroll when you want to scroll on the web or the mobile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my status bar and I'm going to hold this together and I'll make it auto layout. So once I make it auto layout, I'll just come here to rename it to header. Jesus. I'll come here and rename it to header and then I will lock it the same way. And I'll come to my prototype. So before I lock it, I'm going to hold it. So I'll come to my prototype and then so my prototype is because of the way I duplicated that. So I'm just going to delete this out. So that is why it is always to place everything you design on your style guide. So you just on your style guide and use it here to avoid issues. So I'm just going to check if any other thing is connected. No. So I've just come to this. I'm going to click this, come to scroll behavior, and then fix at the place. So this is how it's going to look like. So I'm just going to preview again to see. So this is how it's going to look. I'll just click on this phone display and then I'm scrolling, though my mouse is this noiseless, what are they calling this mouse? So I'm scrolling, but this is actually fixed. So by the time I start adding something and scroll, you see that this thing is just fixed in the position and all. So now let's design the hero section. So how are we going to design the hero section? So I'm just going to pick this out. So I'll copy and I'll come here, I will paste, or you can duplicate. The choice is yours. So I'm just going to drag it out and I'll check my prototype if if it's actually connected to anywhere. So I'm just going to remove it from the duplicated elements that I just picked. So I'll go back to my design. Now, remember, this is our mobile view. This is the web view. So there's no way we're just going to push this inside. It's not going to work. So all we have to do is just click on this. Now, this is an easy way. Instead of redesigning this from beginning, now this is an easy way you can just bring this thing inside the mobile. Because you've already done this in auto layout, all you just have to do is just work on the setting and then adjust it. You are good to go. That is why it is always to just use auto layout to design the web. And when you're designing the mobile, it's just more of like drag, drop, and then reduce, because everything's already giving you the right settings. So what we are going to do here is just to adjust this to this frame size. We are not creating from beginning. So we're just going to adjust the font, the spacing, and then the image and the arrangement. That's the only thing we are going to do here. First thing first, I'm going to move this image to my frame size. So I'm going to use 375. So that is the width I'm using. This is how it's going to look like. So the reason why it's giving me this like this is because I actually cropped the image. So I can't work like this because I already cropped the image. But if assuming I did not crop the image, it will just give me it will not stretch the image. It will just give me a perfect size. So, but right now I'm going to undo that and I'm going to come here to remove this from auto layout. So first thing first, I'm going to remove it from auto layout. So once I remove it from auto layout, automatically it gives me frame. It gives me frame. So let me undo that. So if I do that, this is how auto layouts look like. So if you follow my cursor, you come to this layers section, you see that it's actually in frame. So by the time I right click to remove it from auto layout, it automatically turns this particular normal device frame. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to come to this image. I'm going to go back to fill. So once I go to fill, I'm just going to stretch the image. So once now, if I'm stretching this image, it's actually going to size the fill because I have moved it back to fill. So if I let me undo this and show you something. So if I let me undo this and go back to the crop. So if I leave it in crop and close, if I leave it in crop and I'm trying to adjust the image, you see that the image is like it's trying to stretch, but this is not what I want. So I'm just going to return the image back to fill. So I'm going to return it back to fill and I'll stretch the image. So once I'm stretched the image, I'll just come here. So now this image is actually going to be at the down, while this right up is going to be at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to come here. I'm going to use the right size. So I will not be using 40 because 40 is too much. So what I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using 24. So but before I will use 24, I'll have to go to my mid fidelity to be sure of the title, like to be sure of the font that I used here. I need my UI design to be consistency. So what I use here is 24. So let's look for, so what I use here is 24 bold. So I'm going to come back to my design. So let's check if it's what is here. So what is here is semi bold. So I'm just going to change it to bold. So yeah, I'm going to reduce it from 18 to, let's see, 16. And I'm going to reduce this. I don't want it 2 line. And 3 line, I want it 2 line. So I'm going to come here to now change it to 375. Now this is how it's going to look like. So I'm just going to hold this and then adjust it at the center. So I'm going to bring this image and place it here. So once I place it here, I can now start adjusting the image inside. So this is how it's going to look like. Now let's play around with this image so that this hamburger menu will be at the center here and the information can be on top of the knife, which is actually good. So by the time the developer codes the work, by the time you are stretching it from your browser, let's say let's open which landing page am I going to open? Okay, now let's open both. Okay, now let's open both. Let me show you something. Oh my God. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So I'm going to inspect. Now you can see how it's actually, is it downloading? So you can see how it looks like. So I don't think it's, let's see, I think it's still loading. Okay. Now you can see how it's being displayed here. So by the time I start dragging it from here, you can see that it's moving. You can see how it is. So by the time I change my display here, let's say iPad mini. So you can see how it's actually stretching. So by the time I switch to my laptop view, take this out, you'll see how it is. So that's what we are going to do here. So what I'm trying to explain is just the um, image, the hero section. So you can see how it is displayed on the tablets. Let's say iPad or this. So let me move to XR, smaller view. Now this is how the image look like. This is how it look like. So by the time I return it back to the desktop, you'll see how it look like. But at least the concentration is the face of this young girl. So now our own is this burger that is our main priority for this image. So once that this is set, so I'm just going to set this. So I'm just going to set this. So once I set this there, this is time for me to now work on the image. So this is when I will have to go back to my crop. I'm just going to move this here, and then I will have to adjust this burger to display. I'm just going to close it. So this is how it's going to look like. So now let's preview and see how it turned out to be if the font and every other thing is well displayed. So this is how it's going to look like. So I'm going to click on it and then I will scroll. Now when I scroll, I notice that this place is still showing my images coming from here. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to come to my header, click on my status bar, and then add a fill color. So once I add a fill color, I can go ahead to lock this. So this is how it's going to look like. This is how it's going to look like. But this image is actually looking small, so I think I'll have to switch to 32 for this title text to be visible enough. So I'm just going to come here and then use 32. So this is how 32 looks like, which is nice. So let's see if let's move to bold and see how it is. I think I'll have to use bold. So this is where I'm just going to set my local style. So once I set my local style, it's going to be big heading. Let's call this bold. So once I create it, I'm just going to move that and go to my style guide and then include that. So this is how it's going to look like. So let me scroll. So this is how it's going to look like. So I am done with the hero section. So I'm just going to see if I can. I wanted this text to be 2 line, but if it's 2 line, it's actually not going to give me what I want. So I'm just going to come here and check. I can't actually see the line. So I'm just going to take this one here and then add +1. So I can't see the line. I can't see my the grid line. I can't see it. So I'll just come here. Since I already know the space here is 25, 25, I'll just come here and then add +1. So it now give me the 25 I'm looking for. And then I can go ahead and then stretch this to get to this point. So I can now stretch it to this point. So this has already gotten to the end. There's no way doorstep is going to enter this tiny step, this space. So I think I've gotten what I want. So I'm just going to return this back to auto layout. So if I return it back to auto layout, this is how it turned out to be, which is not what I want. But let's see if we stretch, if there's anything is going to work. Okay, I think it's actually working, but since the image is going stretch. Okay, I think returning it back to auto layout works. So when I stretch the image, when I try to drag the image did not stretch. But so I just, okay, let me undo that and explain better. So, okay, this is how it actually look like. And remember, I don't like designing with frame. So I want to return this back to auto layout. So what I did was, I didn't touch this. It was already in auto layout. I was just making my adjustments inside. So before I continue, I'm going to take this out from hover. So I'm going to create another button. I just remember, I'm just going to create another button. So I'll go back to my style guide and pick my main active button. So I'll go back to my style guide. So instead of returning to this page, this is another way to just get something, especially you've created in component. If you created something in components, instead of going back to pick that thing from that component, you just have to come to these assets to take you to which of the page did you create your style. So I think I create that in high fidelity. This is the style guide. I'm going to come here. This is my button, which is 5. So I'm just going to pick this button here. But this is another best way for you to do something. So for you to not miss what you created, so it is best you name your element. So if you name your element, it will be very easy for you to just go and pick it here. So if I return back to this layer and if I return back to this page and I click on this hyphen. So if I return back to here, you see that this button, so if I return back, you see that this button, when I click on assets, it was showing me 5. So if I come to these assets here and I click on it, showing me, if I click it, showing me that this particular guys that are inside a component is 5. This input field is 8. So once you are done, the best is just to rename this. So as I did not rename it, that's why it's giving me frame 30 and so. But immediately I just rename it, it's just easy for me to know where to drag it from. Instead of returning back to this page, imagine your network is slow, returning back to this page, it keeps loading, and then you pick it, and then you come back to the page, it load, and then you paste. Before it will paste, it will load again. So it's just to save time and energy. Okay, so let's continue. So I'll be using my active button. So I'm going to rename this to other now. I'm recording the class. So I'll be using this size of button. I think I like the width of button, so I'll be using 197 or even 200. Then I'll bring it inside here, and then I'm going to delete this one. Okay, this is the over button, yeah. So I'm going to delete this one. And my setting is still the same way. So once I'm done with that, I'll just do auto layout, return it back to auto layout. So once I return it back to auto layout, this, if you notice, now that this image is actually, what I call it, shrinked inside. So, but before I will do that, I'll have to get the height. So what the height I used was 385. So once I do auto layout for it, I'm just going to come here and then click 835. Sorry. Now this is it. Now it's giving me the perfect image. And then I'll return this image back to the top. So I'll just come to my auto layout here and then click on it like this. So once I click on it, this is how it's going to be. So now let's preview and see what we have done so far. So this is what we've done so far. Now let's continue. Now, once you test things about this mobile, it's just a lot of things you're just going to do here. Just more of drag and drop, finding everything from scratch again, because you've gotten the perfect size you want for your web. So there's nothing like redesigning this again. So I'm just going to click on prototype, show prototype, to make sure that this thing I actually drag from this screen doesn't connect to the screen, because if not, it's going to mess our mobile design. Like, it's going to mess it up for us. By the time you're interacting with this, you just notice that mobile is just working on its own. You might just know where the thing is coming from. So I'm going to go back to my design and click on about. So I'm going to add a background color so I can see what I'm doing. So the same way we worked on this, that's what we're going to do for here. So here I'm just going to click this and then turn it this way. And then I'm going to increase this. So I'm just going to increase this. And I'm going to reduce this here. So I'm just going to reduce this here. And then I'm going to reduce the size of the image. So this is where I will have to work with scale. I can't just reduce it that way because it's going to mess these images up for me. I don't love, you will not want to see your images being sketched, like stretch. You don't want to. It just mess up your interface design. So I'm just going to scale this image. So I'll come here and select scale. So this will automatically change it. So you can just come here and type whatever number you want to type. So if I want to scale 200, this is how it's going to look like. But 200 is actually too small. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on this. Now I'm going to work with this spacing here. So I'm going to move this at the center. And I'm going to come here and then adjust to my frame size. So what I'm using is 7375. So this is what I'm going to be working. By the time I place it here, then I can now reduce it to the normal size that I want. So this is what I want. So I'm just going to reduce this image. So I'm going to scale it. So either you come here to select your scale or you just click on K on your keyboard. So I'm going to follow this process. So I'm just going to scale this like this. So I'm going to scale this way. So let's leave it. So I don't like keeping stuff in decimal places. So I'm just going to use 3, 4, 5. So once I do the width 3, 4, 5, the height doesn't matter, but the width is very important. And then I will come here and then reduce this. So I'm going to scale up. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to use 22. So I'm going to use 22. So and I'm going to come here and then reduce it to 16. So once I reduce to 16, I'm just going to reduce it like this, and I'll come here and I'll reduce it like this. So I'm just going to reduce it to match into this. So by the time you place it, and then you can now start adjusting the text size and all. So I'm just going to place this here. I'm going to decrease this, like reduce this. Then I'll click here and then I'll reduce this. So I'm just going to place this way. And then I'm not going to make this button straight this way. So I'm just going to make it this way. And then I'll adjust it this way. So I'm going to take it out from auto layout and then do it back again. And then I'm going to reduce this spacing to 15. So whatever I've done here, so I'm just going to bring this like this, because every other thing is inside the auto layer. So I'm just going to bring this like this and then make it my exact phone size. So I'm going to bring it and then place it inside here. So once I place it inside here, it is time for me to start adjusting. First thing first is I'm going to reduce the heights. So I'm going to use the height. So here I use 60. So here I'm just going to use let's try 70. Let's try 70 and see how the space turn out to be. So this image here is okay, but it's actually crossed the line. So I'll go back to scaling this image so I don't cross this line. So I'll come here, do it this way, and then I will come back here and reduce this. So I'm going to place this at the center here. So once I place at the center, I'm going to click on this and then place everything at the center. So this is already at the center. So I'm just going to give it padding of 25 to be sure of what I'm doing. Now I've given it padding of 25. Just going to come here. So just adjust. All what I'm just doing here is just to adjust it. So I'm just going to drag this here. So this is actually moving here because it doesn't have horizontal padding. It's showing me horizontal padding here is 0. So I'll just come here. Either you drag it this way. So either you drag it this way, or you come here to adjust it. So I'm just going to come here and put it 25. Now, immediately I put 25, this one has actually adjusted, but this has not adjusted. So I'm just going to click on the text and then drag it in. So I'm just going to click on the text and then drag it in. So I'm going to check why it is not balanced. So I'm going to hold these two and see that both of them is actually at the center. So I'm just going to align it to the left so that this one be balanced very well. So I'm just going to reduce it here, and then should just be on this line. So I'm just going to hold it here and then reduce this spacing here. So this space is going to be 20. So I will be using what I use for the web. So this space here is going to be 20. And I'm going to hold this auto layout like this, which is the text and this. So now I did not adjust this. So I'm just going to work on this. So I'm just going to hold the spacing between. Now this is the text. So if I close this, this is the text. So if I open it, the text back. Now this one is this button here. And if I hold this one, it's like this text on and this button. So I'm going to add horizontal padding again, 25. Now this is how it's going to look like. So I'm just going to hold this and then remove this 25 I added here. So I'm just going to remove it so to balance very well. So once I remove it, this is how it's going to look like. So I'm just going to hold this to bring it this way. Good. So I'm just going to hold this one and see that it's having horizontal padding 25. So I can come here to adjust this here. So I don't know if this is actually, because this is actually in group. So if I stretch it, this is how it's going to look like. You see one thing about grouping your buttons. This now you can see how it's just stretched this way. So, but I won't be working with this. So I think I'll have to bring both of them out and see if I can increase the size. So because the button size I'm using is actually okay, but I cannot play around with this. So let's see if we can adjust this. So everything they did from the App Store is in grouping. Everything is in grouping, like everything is in grouping. And this is actually not a text that I'll say, okay, let me increase it. This is actually in a vector pattern. This is the T. So if I close this, eye of this T, sorry. So if I close the eye of this T, you see that everything they did is in group at all. But let's see if we can actually adjust or play around with it. So I'm just going to try my luck to see if I can just play around with it. Okay, it's actually going to be scattered. So I don't think this can work. But I cannot use it as button. It doesn't make sense. So I think I'll just have to go with whatever Figma community gave to us, because I don't know where to start adjusting inside the group, because everything is actually in vector. Now look at this Google Play. Now you can see this is actually not a write-up. It's not even a write-up that will display that text settings that you can adjust. Just everything is in vector. Okay. So back to what we are designing. I think I'll just have to go with this shape, but let's try and put it this way and see how it is. So if I try to reduce it, it won't work. So I'm just going to put it this way. So what I'm going to do is that when I'm done with this setting, I'll go and see if I can get either a longer button or a shorter button. So, but button size. So I'm just going to take out this ruler out. So now I want to reduce. So now I want to reduce the spacing here. So I'm just going to click on this, and then I'm going to click on this and then reduce the spacing. So the spacing between them is 153, which is too much for me. So I'll be using 50 here. So this is okay for me. And then this, I will have to reduce it. So once I reduce it, this is how it's going to look like here. So here I'll be using 50. So 70 is too much. So I'll be using 50. Yeah. So my abatos is ready to go. So I'm going to preview my work and then see. So I'm going to click on it. You can see I have my about us. So I'm not comfortable with this space. So once we are done, I'll go and look for another batch button to either the shorter. I don't think shorter one will work. I'm just going to look for a longer one that is going to occupy this space, or I'll have to maggle my way around it to make it long. Okay, so let's continue. So we've gotten what we want. We've created the hero section, we've created the header, the hero section, we've created the about us. The next place we are going to design is going to be the menu section. So I'm just going to drag this. So this is where you're going to have a lot of work. So I'm just going to drag this out. Once I drag it out, I'm just going to give it a thick color so I can see the write-up, and if I'm adjusting, I can see what I am adjusting. So I'm going to click on prototype, show prototype, to make sure that this is not actually any settings from this place where we brought it out. So I'll go back to my design. Now I'll come here. First thing first is I'm going to take out this. I'm going to take this out. So once I take this out, I'm going to place it here inside this frame. So once I place it inside this frame, come out from this one now. You don't want to come out. So I'm going to place it inside here, and I'll move it to the left hand side. Once I move to the left hand side, I'll return it back to. So since it's already in auth, so what you just have to do is just to come here and then reduce. So once you are reducing, everything is just moving for you. And then you will come here. So here we are using horizontal padding of 80, but for mobile we are using 25. So I'll just come here and then put 25. So once I put 25, this is how it's going to look like. So this is how it's going to look like. So, but yeah, just going to move this way. And I'm going to reduce this font size to 20. Yeah. So this is okay and this is okay. So I'm just going to move this here. And then I'll come back to this and I'll look for what to do first. So first thing first is I'm going to remove this from auto layout. So I'm going to give this a fill color so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to give this a fill color. So I'm going to remove, I don't need this one because I've already gotten what I want. So the first thing I'm going to do is to adjust it to fit the mobile view. So I'm going to remove this from auto layout, right click and then remove it from auto layout. So I don't want it to actually get scattered beyond control. So I'm just going to walk inside a frame. So I'm going to remove this and this from auto layout. So I'm going to remove this from auto layout, like take it out, like remove it, not even converting it to frame. So I'm going to hold my Windows. I think Windows is Control and Backspace, but Mac is Command and Delete. So you remove it from auto layout completely. So you just hold your Command and Backspace. I think Control and Backspace for Windows. So yeah, I'm just going to take this, and then I'll bring it inside my mobile. So this is actually going to be like this. So I'm going to bring it out first. So I think I'll have to put it inside a frame so that I can see my text right up. So let me just put it inside a frame like this so I can be seeing my text right up. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to, so since I'm already having a frame, I'm just going to bring this like this. So I'm just going to reduce my image. So I'm going to reduce the image. So let's reduce the image. What I'm just doing here is to reduce the image to fit this space, this inside this my count. So I'll just come here and then remove it to us. Then I'm going to reduce it to 20 semi-bold. Then I'll have to reduce all my text. I'll have to reduce all my text to use the right one. Okay, I think this and this is different. So I'll just click on this first one and I will use 14 medium. And here I'm going to use 14. Okay, yeah, I use 16 million. So yeah, I'm going to use, yeah, I use 18 million. So yeah, I'm going to use 16 million. So where is my Naira? The Naira is missing. Please come back. I've deleted you. I'm sorry. Let's go back and hunt for Naira's sign. I've deleted you. I'm sorry. Please come back. Okay, it's back. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue. So we've done the first one, and I'll make sure that this image, no matter how I reduce it, it's actually going to have the display of this and this, of which is okay. But then I also have to touch it small so that this take away banner or logo is going to be visible enough. So I'm just going to click on this image and scroll to this place. Click here, the image, come to crop. I'm going to push this a little bit so I can see. And then I'm going to hold my shift key and then drag it down a little bit. So I'm going to scroll. Okay, I think this is okay. I'm going to remove it. So I just want the image here and here to be the same to me. But I noticed that here is still having a little white. So I'm just going to do what I'm going to repeat what I do to cover this space here. I'm just going to take it off a little bit. I'm going to close it. Now it doesn't have that empty image space. Okay, so let's continue by adjusting all the image to the mobile view. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to repeat the same process for this. The system is hanging. Okay, so the next image is going to be, let me unplug this for a while. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to adjust these other images. So I'm just going to bring this here. Bring this is the second one. This is the third one, right? So this two has gone out from auto layout. So I'm going to return it. This is this one here. And this is this one. So this one has gone out from auto layout. I'm going to bring it in here. I'm going to delete this frame I was using to see the write-up. So I'm just going to hold this, and this, and align to the left. So I'm just going to zoom in, place this here. So I'm just going to hold. Now I'm going to work with all of them at the same time. So I'm just going to click on all the images at the same time, holding my shift and clicking the images. So I'm going to hold this and this. So I'm just going to adjust all of them at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to hold this. Going to hold this. So I want to work on everything at the same time. So I'm just going to hold this to save time. So I'm just going to hold this and this. I'm going to hold this. Let's go. Okay, this is already in. I'm going to move it to Alt, and then I'm going to just hold one and then adjust it inside. Yeah. So this is actually not. I think I missed one. Oh yeah, I missed one. I'm just going to come here, move it to Alt, and then bring it inside. Okay, so now I'm going to hold. So what I use for this is so what I use here is heading 3. So I'm just going to click on all the text at the same time, on all the title text at the same time. So click on all the title text at the same time because I'm using the same title text font or text size. So I'm just going to come here and then use 3. So this is what I did. So I'm just going to come to all the time. So I'm just going to hold all the time. So I'll hold my, if you're doing this, make sure you're holding your shift key. I'm just going to click on it. I'm going to scroll, click on it. I'm going to use 14 medium. And I'm going to come to this one. So here I use 18. So here I'm going to use 16 medium. So what I'm going to do now is just to adjust it. So I'm going to hold all of them together and then adjust it inside. So make sure it's giving me mix because some are different sizes. So I'm just going to look for the one that is actually correct and then make other ones to be the same way. So we are having 323, 323. This is 325. So I'm going to see if one is not correct. So I think this is not correct. So 325 is the right one. 325 is the right one. So I'm just going to hold all of them and make it 325, including this other one. And I'll type 320, 325. Good. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to check if anyone, maybe the image is long, crossed my margin. So I noticed that this image actually crossed my margin. So I'm just going to hold it and I'm going to check other image. So I'm going to hold this and check my other image. So I'm going to hold this too, and then I'll set it to 325. Now, so once I'm done with this, I'm going to preview my design to see before making any adjustments again. So this is what I have. So this is what I have. So let's check it out. So I have my hero, I have my about, I have my menu. So I'm not done with the menu adjustment. I just want to see how it is being displayed, because the spacing here is different from the spacing here. So I can see that everything is actually okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is going to arrange it. So I'm just going to take this out and then I'm going to arrange it. So I'm going to move this here. This is actually looking small. So I'm just going to use my normal 24 for it. So I'm going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to make it up to there. So once I make it up to there, the spacing between them is 38. I'm just going to come here. Let's try 20 to see the spacing. And let's hold this and then see the spacing. So we're going to move this to inside to make sure that it's actually the phone print size. So I'm going to move this to 40. So let's try 40 to see the spacing between them. So you can choose to add vertical padding if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can leave. So I'm just going to add vertical padding of 20. So it will be space at the top here and space at the bottom. So let's try what we've done so far. So this is what we've done so far. So we don't hover on mobile. You click or you tap. Okay, so this is what we have. So I'm just going to take this out because we don't hover on web or mobile. We don't hover. So I'm going to take this out. So this is what we have here. So we are done with the menu. The next part we are going to design is the part is not going to be very difficult. It's just going to be very easy because you just have to bring it down and then turn it that way. So I'm not going to. So I'm going to take this out. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to detach this from component. I'm just going to take it out from components. Let it just stand as ordinary button. So that is what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to place this at the center, so that this text will be at the center. Okay. So the next part we are going to design is how it will work. So that's what I'm going to do. So here I'm going to see the font size I'm using here. So here I'm using heading 2. So I'll just come to this part. I'll just drag it out. So once I drag it out, I'm going to give it a fill color. So I'm just going to go to prototype to see if it actually connects to anywhere. No, I'll go back to my design and then I'll come here. I'll use heading 2. So I'm just going to come here to adjust this way. And I'm going to make this 372. So this is what we have here. So I'm just going to come back here and adjust this way. in this way. So I can just come here and type the 375. And then I'm just going to drag this here. So as I'm dragging it, it's actually filling everything up for me, including the padding that it already have. So yeah, it's already a banner. So I'm not going to, this is like a banner. So I'm not going to take out the hover because it's more like a banner. So I'm not taking it out. So I'm going to work with that. So I'm just going to adjust this inside. So, but if it's text link button, there's nothing, there's no business with hover. You just click or tap. But this is like a banner. You're not clicking, you're not tapping. It's just a banner, a display. So making it hover good. Okay. To get the difference between what to make hover and what not to make hover on the mobile. So this is what we have. So I'm just going to bring this in here. So I'm just going to check. So there's still a little space. So I'm just going to come to this place and then bring it this way. So I'm just going to come here and set it. I'm just going to come here 325. That's what we're using. So open it and then hold the three of them and then type 325. So it will just be at the center ready. So this is what we have. This is what we have. So I'm just going to click here and see it's already there, and I'll click here and I'll drag this one to this place. Now this is it, and this is how it looks. So how it works, I'm not making any serious adjustment. So the next part we are going to, so let's see if we still have space. Okay, we still have space, but I think just going to adjust it. Now look at one beautiful thing about Autolia. Now let's assume that we've been grouping all this our section, and now let's say we have this small space to add this banner and input FAQ and then the footer, and then you stretch it. If you stretch it, if you're using sometimes Frame does that. Sometimes Frame does that. Sometimes Frame doesn't do that. But you see grouping, by the time you try to stretch your frame, to get more space to design this one, you see that everything inside will just stretch. The text, so the image, everything inside will just stretch. Now remember when I'm trying to stretch this App Store button, because everything was done in grouping, and now I try to increase the width of the button, and everything is just stretching go because it was done in grouping. That is one bad thing about grouping your element. Like, you're going to stress yourself. Imagine you have to go back inside and start adjusting everything one by one. But with auto layout, you don't even need to stress yourself. Once you've done everything with auto layout, you just come here now, you just stretch your frame, and then you are good to go. Nothing is going to stretch. Even if I try to preview to see if something stretched, nothing actually stretched. Now this is what we have. So this is the beautiful mobile view we have. So we have our hamburger menu, we have our logo, we have the hero section. So we have the about us, we have the menu. So we have this. So this is actually a banner because you're not clicking, you're not tapping anything. So we can just leave it as hover. Okay. But if it's actually something that you're going to click or tap, especially the button, you don't need, especially the button or especially the button or any text button like that view, or it's actually a text that you're going to click that is going to take you to another page. You cannot make it hover. So anything you're going to click or tap, you can't make it hover. But for this is actually a banner, so it is okay like this to just be over. So once your finger just touch it, it will just change color. I think I did a design like this. I talked to the developer that I want it this way. The developer did a great job. I think when I checked recently, I noticed that the client's domain name, for people that are developers to understand it, client's domain name has actually expired. I could have showed you this product that I did. That was my first design I did 2021. Like my first paid gig I did 2021 after learning for like 9 months, 10 months. So it was so beautiful. It was just similar to this thing I already did here. So it was so beautiful. I wish the domain name, the site is staying up and running. I could have shared the site with you guys. But if you check my Behance, like my first project on my Behance, you will see the design there. So making your banner this way is actually good for the mobile. But since it's actually going to be a text link, something you're going to click or tap, there's no need of making it hover. Okay. So now let's continue. The next place we are going to design is this banner. So what we are just going to do here is just drag and drop. So I'm going to bring this out here, take to prototype to be sure that it's not connected to anywhere. I'll go back to my design and then I'll click on this banner. One end is missing from this spelling. So I'm just going to bring this here like this. So I'm going to remove this horizontal padding to be 25 because the web is 80. So the mobile is just going to be 25. So I'll come back here. First is my image. I'm going to reduce it to 20. So I use 40 here. So what I used on my hero is 20. Is it 32? I think 32. Yeah, 32 bold. So I'm going to the button. I'm going to change this my button to the normal active button. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to hold my image and then change my image. So I'm just going to reduce the width of my image. I'm going to scroll here. So I'm going to stretch to see. Okay, nothing happened to my image. It's actually in perfect shape. I'm going to hold this banner and I'm going to just come here and type 375. So this is what we have, and I'm going to adjust to the center, and then I'll come back to this my image and then put it back to 325. Let me turn my layout grid so that you don't see that I'm working from my head. So this is what we have. So I'm going to now arrange this image very well, the text very well. So I'm just going to come here and then adjust this text. So what I use for if you come to the web, the title text I use here is the same. Let's come here. The title text I use here, which is this biggest heading, is actually the same thing I used here. So that is why I just need to be consistent in my UI, which is one of the UI design principles. So yeah, I use big heading. Let's say I think it's a big heading board. So that's what I'm going to use for this place. That is what I'm going to use here because it's the same thing that I used there. So this I'm going to change this button. So I'm just going to work on this before getting my button from the top and then placing it here. I think this is okay. So let me go back and then pick this my button. So I'm just going to, let's try that other way around so that some persons will actually understand how it works. So I'm just going to come to assets and I'm going to come to this. Yeah, so let's close everything and return it back. So this, if I come to my assets, I'll come to local components. So let's assume this is lock. So if you know the page, these are your pages. So this is where I'm working on. So if you know the pages that you did your style guide, you know. So this, I did my style guide on page hyphen. So when I click on page hyphen, I have different frame where I did auto layout in some. I did auto. I did component. Please mute. Please mute. Hashi. So where I did components is where I'm just where I did component is what is going to display here for me. Now in the button, I did component for the button. Show you the 5 different kinds of button that I'm going to use on this my application, and how many 8 kinds or 8 different pattern of MP field that I'm going to use on this my project. So I'm just going to drag my active button, which is the button A, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to come here. I'll bring it here, and I'm just going to, so not to confuse myself, I'm just going to carry this button. I'll put it inside this text. So once I put it inside this text, I just want it to have the same spacing. So I want it to have the same spacing, and I'm just going to pick the width. So what I have is 179. So I use 200 there. So I'm just going to take this out, and then I will adjust this to 200. So this is order now. So this is order now. So I'm just going to come here. So let's return back to layer. I don't know. Am I the only one that my Figma, like my Figma hangs a lot? I don't know. Ever since I rejected because this no the new updates. My other Figma has this new updates. Ever since I rejected their to update my new Figma 2 times, my Figma has been hanging. I don't know if I'm the only one suffering that. So I'm just going to change the width of this my button to 200 to be the same width of the button I'm using on my hero section. So this is what I have. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to add one in. This. So this is what I have for my banner. I've done that. So the next part I'm going to design is going to be the FAQ. Now this is the sweetest part of this design that I did. That is very, very easy. In this aspect, you don't even need to do anything. It's just for you to just drag everything inside and then to fit. So I'm going to click on the banner and then I'm going to drag FAQ out. Now you can see that it took us almost 3 hours. Let's say almost. It took us 3 hours plus to create a landing page for the web view, do the prototyping and all. But for the mobile, it's not even up to 2 hours. It's not even up to 1 hour 30 minutes, and we are almost done with it. So that is one sweet thing about auto layout. It's just so cool and makes your work so. Now I'm just going to hold all these elements. So I'm just going to hold all this because already they are in components. So I'm just going to hold all of them and just come here and then I'll just adjust it like this. Now I noticed that as I'm adjusting this my text here did not respond. So what I'm going to do is once I'm done adjusting, so once I'm done adjusting, I'll now have to go back, or you can just undo that, and then let's go back to our component because this is already invariant. So let's go back to our components. Let's go and work on that side to text so that it will be responsive when I'm trying to squeeze the information inside. So let's go back to this title text. What is going on? So let's click on this and come here. This is actually in fixed. So I'm going to make it field. I'm going to come here and then make it field. I'm going to do this same thing here. Yeah. That is one tricky something about Australia. So this is actually aligned here. It's about to come back here. I'm going to click on this. These ones are coming from this one. So why is this one actually misbehaving? So I need to tap the issues coming from. So I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to paste it here and see where the issue is coming from. So I'm going to paste it here. Okay, this one actually work. Why is this one not working? So since I'm already copying, I'm just going to delete this code. So I'm just going to hold all of them together. So I'm going to hold all of them together. Because I'm just going to adjust it in, I guess, the size that I'm working with. So I'm working with 325. This is 313. So I'm just going to go to my scale. Or you can come here and then type is 325. Okay, so I've gotten it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase this way to type. So I'm just going to hold it and then use it myself inside here. So I'm just going to hold 3 325. So just going to reduce this now to 375, like the cover rate to 375. So yeah, I used heading headline 2. So I'm going to click on it and then check it here. So yeah, I'm using to edit. So that's what I'm using. So now the next is going to be all these types to let's say this. So I'm just going to put this and then the only one suffering this handling of it. So let's place it inside. You can choose to put them here, or you can choose to come to the layer to put them. I'm going to put all of them together. I'm going to come here and then horizontal spacing is going to be 0 because I want everything to be aligned very well. So it's just going to be 0 because I don't want that space. So I'm going to check what I have done so far. So let's see. Okay, everything is now aligned very well. So I'm just going to use that space at the top and at the bottom. So I'm just going to reduce this space here. So this is what I have. So before we add our footer, so I need to make all the necessary spacing to be equal. So I'm just going to turn off the. So I'm just going to turn off this layer grid so I can adjust my design. So here I have spacing between here and here is 50. So I'm going to click on this and check this. I'm going to scroll down. So I'm going to hold this and check the spacing between them. So I'm going to check all my selected colors. So I notice that some selected colors are not what we set. So I'm just going to use it, my black. So this is what we have. And then the last thing I'm going to design is the footer. So let's check it out before designing the footer. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's check what we've done so far. I think I have to reduce this space here. But for the let's let me go and reduce that space. Okay. I'm just going to click on that. Sure, yeah, let's reduce it. Okay, so I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to reduce this space to 5. So I'm just going to hold this and then bring it to the center and to the left. So this is what we have. So let's see. Okay, so I think I'll have to turn on my layout grid because this is actually not in the same straight line. So I'll have to turn on my layout grid to check it out. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to reduce this. I'm just going to reduce this here. Okay, now it's the same line. So let's continue. I'm going to zoom out. So let's continue scrolling. I think I'll have to place this image at the center. So let's scroll. So I'm going to click on the image and then place it at the center. No, the image and then place it at the center. Mm-hmm. So let's click out. Let's continue scrolling. So these icons are too big, but I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to reduce the icon. So in this part now I click on it. You notice that the font text I did not reduce it, or I didn't turn it on. So in this aspect, what you are going to do is you're not going to touch the component. You're not going to touch the component. All you have to do is just on the variant that you've already designed here. So on this variant that is already here, what you just have to do is just, we hide the text. So what you're going to do, you're going to click on all the text and you're going to reduce the font size. You are not going to touch the main component. Just touch the variant, reduce the font size so that it will align to what is already here. So I think it has actually adjust, but let's check this is actually looking smaller and this is looking bigger. So you just only touch this one. You're not going to touch the main component. If you touch the main component, it will affect the web. Okay, so it's only these ones that you will touch. So that it will just be it will just be consistent in this first one that we've done. So that is what you're going to do. So let's see, continue. So I'm going to reduce this icon. And now this icon I'm reducing is not a component. It's not the main component. It's just only this variant I'm just playing around to fit into this. So that is what I'm going to do now. Now I'm going to close this and I'm going to reduce this icon. So I'm just going to click on only the icon. So I'll click on the icon. I'm going to reduce the icon onto scale. So I think I cannot reduce it. It's not giving chances to reduce it here. So I'll just have to go with it. So, but if you want to use it to be a perfect fit, now what we use here is 50. And looking at it on the mobile, 50 is actually too much. 45 is not bad, 40 is not bad. So since it's not giving us the chances to reduce the icon, that means we'll have to go back to the main component to use the right icon size, like this icon button size that will fit in for mobile and web. Like I said, 40 is not bad, 45 is not bad. because 50 is actually looking big for the mobile. So I have to go to the main components and then adjust it from 50 to 40. But before we do that, so I need to work on all these text. So I will come here, I will reduce this text. So I just need to work on this text so that I can go back there to adjust it to fit, like use a perfect icon button for mobile and web. So I'll come here and then I'll reduce it to 16 regular. So I will take this out. So I'll hold this. So I'm going to hold this and I'll close it here. So I'm going to hold this one. I'll turn it on. I'll click here. Come here. I'll use this one here. Going to click here. Turn it off. So I'm going to hold the next one. Turn it on. So I'm going to do them at the same time. So I'm going to hold here, turn it on. So I'm going to scroll, I'm going to hold this one. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to scroll, I'm going to turn it on. So I'm going to hold all the text at the same time and do it one. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn everything. Let's see if I can hold the two of them and do it at the same time. Okay, I can. So I'm going to hold this one and the last one, and I'm going to hold control. Okay. So this is what I have. So you can just go to the main component to adjust the icon size. So I'm going to go to the component. So I'm just going to click here, right click, take me to main components. No need to scroll, just take me back to the main components. Now that's take me back to the component. I'm just going to click on this icon here, and I'll click on this icon here. So I'll just come here and then I'll adjust to 40. Come here, adjust to 40. Okay. So once I adjust to 40, I'll make sure that it's at the center. Then I'll click out. So I'm looking for that information that will show me return back to instant. Let's see if it's going to come out. So once I'm done, I'm just going to click on it to return me back to where I'm coming from. Okay, so this is what we have. So I'm going to preview this. I'm going to preview this and see. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so this is what we have here. So the last thing I'm going to design is going to be the footer. I'm just going to drag it out. I'm going to do the same to see. Okay, nothing is connected. Back to design. First thing first is I'm going to stretch this out. So I'm going to stretch it. So once I stretch it, I'm going to click on these informations inside. So I'm going to click this and then make it stretch this way. So I'm going to now hold this one, this information here, and then I'm going to click on this, make it stretch. So I'm just going to see if that actually give me the size I want. No. So I'm just going to reduce the font text. So this is where you have to reduce the font text if the font text is actually too big. So yeah, I use this is 16, I guess. Okay, this is 18. So I'm just going to reduce it to 16. So I'll be using 16 here and I will have to reduce it this way, the width. So I'm going to click on this and then reduce the width. And I'll click on this also and then reduce the width till I get what I want. So I'm just going to check out the other guy, this copyright. So I'm just going to click on this footer, going to bring it down. I'm going to come here and change it to the size I'm using. 375. I'm going to hold this one, come here and change it to 375. So I'm going to look for this arrow and then click. You can come here to make it responsive. So if you make it fit container, automatically it just fill this arrow to just automatically fill what you've already done there. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to bring this inside my design so that I can now make the necessary adjustments inside. So I'm just going to drag it this way, scroll down a little bit. I'm going to bring it in. So if I add it here, you see that there is no space for it. So I'm just going to click on this free, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Okay, so now let's make the adjustment here. So I'm just going to click on this and then align everything to the left. So I'm just going to hold this and this. No, about us, not the information. So I'm going to hold this and this together, and then I'll make it auto layout. So once I make it auto layout, I'm just going to bring it this way to cover up this space, and I'm going to make the spacing between them. So I'm just going to adjust it like this. So the spacing in between them is too much. So I'm just going to use 30. Good. So I'm just going to say, okay, I just want these restaurants to end at this point. So I'll just use 50. Let's see. Okay. So I'm just going to zoom inside and then make everything to be aligned to the left hand side. So I'm just going to hold this and move to this place. And then I'm going to hold this again, take it out from center, and then move it to the left hand side. So I'm going to hold this about us text and then align to the left. Then I'm going to hold all this information inside, which is already to the left. So I'm just going to hold all of them and make sure that everything's aligned to the left. And I'll take out this space in between them and make it 0 so that everything will be at the left hand side. So whatever settings I did here, I'm just going to do that here. So I'm just going to hold this information here. So I'm just going to hold this. I'm going to remove this horizontal spacing here, which is 10 here. I'm just going to take it out to 0 so that all the information will move to the left hand side. Now I'm going to zoom in and then hold all this information text. So I make sure that all of them is aligned to the left. So I can come here and then I can reduce this. Okay. So I think I'll have to come here and move the settings to the left. Good. And then I'll come here and make sure that this text is not at the center but at the left hand side. Now everything is actually aligned very well. So we are good with this, and then we're going to adjust this now. So the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to just fill up all the space and then move this text to cover up this place. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to click on this text now. So I'm just going to drag this text. So first thing, let's drag this container to this place. Good. And then we'll drag this one to this point. And then I'm going to hold this and drag it this way. I'm going to hold everything together here and drag it this way. So if you cannot see it very well, like me, I can't see it very well, but what I'm already using here is 325. So I'll just have to type it. You just have to type it. And this space, I'm going to cover it up. So, and this space, I'm going to cover it up. So this one, I can just come to this place. And okay, since we already made this guy's auto layout 1-1, there's no need for dragging it because we made it 1-1. So I'm just going to hold these guys here and then drag it to this point. And then I will have to reduce the spacing between them and let's assume we are giving it 15 and see how it turn out to be. I think 50, the spacing between them 50 is okay. So this is it 50 here. So I'm going to click on this and then reduce this plenty space here. So I'm just going to hold this. So you can choose to drag it, or you can just choose to add any spacing you want to see how it turn out to be. So I'll be using 50. Let's see how it turn out to be. Okay, I think this is nice. So now I'll have to reduce the spaces. So if I zoom out, you see that there's plenty space. We don't need all this space anymore because we are good to go with what we are doing. So I'm just going to reduce it. So I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in to reduce the space here. I'm going to hold this. So I'm going to adjust this before I will reduce my spacing. So let's see. So I'm going to hold footer and see the space here. So I noticed that this space here is too much. So I just have to reduce it this way. So I'm going to hold this and then check it. 50. So what we are using is 50. So I'm just going to take out 5. Okay, and then I'll hold my mobile and then I'll reduce it. So I'm just going to turn this back to the down. Don't know where it's running to. I'm going to check the spacing here. This is 130. So I need to take out like 80. So I'll just come here and then go to minus 80. No, I clicked on the wrong thing. So it's supposed to be this. And this is going to be minus 80. Minus 80. Good. So you can see that the space between this and this is 50. Okay, so this is what we have for the mobile. So this is what we have for the mobile. And if I preview, this is what it is. This is what we have for the mobile. So this is what we have for the mobile. I think this space here, okay, it's not bad. So this is what we have for the mobile. So the last thing we are going to design is this hamburger menu. So I think I opened the wrong thing. So you're going to design this hamburger menu. So I'll just have to duplicate the screen. So once I duplicate the screen, what is the height of this phone frame? So the actual height of a phone frame is 812 for iPhone 13. So I'm just going to click 1812 here. I'm just going to delete this footer. I don't know why this footer is running up and down. So I'm just going to delete it. So I'm going to get my rectangle. So I'm going to lock everything because I don't want this rectangle to actually enter inside this. So I'm going to just lock it. Where is it now? Where is it? I'm going to lock it. I already have that one locked. I'm just going to get my rectangle and then I'm going to paste it this way. I'm just going to set it. So I'm using 375 and I'm using 812. Okay, so this is what I have, and so I'm going to move this to the top. Yeah, so I'm going to you can choose to delete other ones, you can choose not to delete it, you can choose to just hold all of them, make it frame and then lock it. Go to anyhow you want to do it. Perfect, it works. So I'm just going to hold these ones together and I'm going to make it auto layer. The ones inside, hidden inside. So I'm just going to lock it. And then I'm going to unlock this header and take it out from pin at a place. I'm just going to click on it. So I'm going to hold the header, come back here and scroll with parent. Yeah. And then I'll move my rectangle to the top. Yeah, I'll come back to my design and I'll use black. So I want to create a model for the menu button. So I'm just going to use black and then I will reduce the opacity to make everything inside a little bit darker. And then I will get then I'll come to this place and collect this header here. So I'm just going to get this header here. So I'm just going to move them this way. I'm going to click here too. So I'm going to click on this text here and move them this way. So this is how it's going to be. So I'm just going to reduce this to the normal font size I'm using. So I'm going to move this to 325 because I want it to be half. So I'm going to use 325. So I'm going to come here. I'll give it a fill color. So once I give it a fill color, this is how it's going to look like. So I'm going to give it place it at the center. So let's place it at the center and let's give it vertical spacing. The vertical spacing is the up. So I'm going to give it vertical spacing of 30 up and down. So this is how it's going to look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this button because this is an over button. So I'm just going to copy this button here. So once I copy this button here, I'll just come to this place and then I'll paste the button. So once I paste the button, I can just choose to delete this one. And this is going to be sign up. So I'm going to rename this to menu. So once I rename it to menu, I'm just going to add it here. So I can add it here, come here, and then move it to the top. So that is why it's good to always lock this so that this image will not just enter inside. Remember, it's auto load, so it will just swallow it. So you can choose to drop it at the left or at the right. So I think I'll have to drop it at the left because I want it to come out that way. So now it's time for us to do our prototype. So I think I actually missed something. You can add the logo, you cannot add the logo, the choice is here. So I think like this is better. So I'm just going to do only my prototype now. So the prototype I'm just going to do is only going to be for this hamburger menu. So I'm going to do this prototype here. Oh wow. Now you can see that issues I'm saying. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on it and then remove all of them. Show prototype. Click on this, remove it, show prototype, click on it, and remove. That is why whenever you duplicate something that has prototype, when you duplicate it, you need to check if what you actually duplicated is linked. Now remember, now let's assume that I did not check it, and I just go ahead and do my prototype. And by the time you start clicking, to just start confusing you, start like you feel frustrated, like what is actually going on? What is going on? So that is another. So you can see that I'm taking it out. So I'm going to remove all these things from hover. So you remember all of them is in hover. So I'm just going to remove all of them from hover. So you can see that I'm taking them out from hover. So I'm removing everything from hover. And like as long as it has connection and just interaction, I'm just removing everything. Because this is a mobile, we don't need it hover. So I'm going to show prototype to be sure that there's nothing is being connected to. So let's see the home. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let me click on the home. So I'm going to click on the home. Does the home have any prototype things? No. How about contact us? About us? No. Menu? Yes. So I'm going to remove it. So how it works? Menu, FAQ, and this. So I'm going to show prototype. So nothing is connected. So I'm going to show prototype for the other work that I have done. You can see that that one is just there already. So now let's do prototype for this one. So what I'm going to do here is just going to be a very simple prototype. So I'll click on this hamburger menu. Okay, I locked it. So I'll have to go back to the design and unlock it. So open. So I'm going to move it to this place. So once I move to this place, I would like to open. So this is going to be, do you want it instant or do you want it, so I want to drag. Okay, so I don't want it instantly. So I want it to, do I want it smart animate? Do I want it dissolve? Do I want it slide in? So let's see slide in, and then let's preview and see what we've done so far. So let's see how slide in works. No, sliding doesn't work. So now you can see that this is actually blocking that way. So I'm just going to, so let's see dissolve. No. So let's see push. Let's see smart enemy. Let's see, let's see, it's in. Now I think it's in is fair enough. So now you can see that my home is actually hiding. So I'm just going to drag this. I'll go back to my design. So I'll come back to my design and I will come here. I will adjust this to come a little bit down. So this is where I have to adjust only the top. So I just have to adjust only the top to be this way. Okay, so or you can just bring this under this. You can bring this under this. Then return it back to be 30 between them. So I'm going to take it off a little bit. Then I'm going to, so I want to allow my status bar to be visible enough. So I'm going to take this out from auto layout. So I'm going to only lock my header here. So I'm going to lock this and I'm going to take this to the top here. So I'm going to take this to the top here. So I think this is better this way so that my status bar will just be showing. So this is what we have, and then you now link other connection to other screens. So you just link this. So I want to be sure that this is actually not hovering. So you just clean enough like that. So you don't hover on a mobile view. So you just do your connection here to about us. So when I click it takes me to the menu and here and here and here. So this is what we have. So we've done the mobile view. We've done this good landing page for the web and also the mobile. Do you have questions? So the floor is open for questions.